Israel's Navy has towed a humanitarian aid ship sailing under an Irish flag to the port city of Ashdod. It had earlier been boarded by Israeli troops 60 kilometres off the blockaded coast of Gaza. Our team's Paula Sleer updates us on the most recent developments.
Within the last few minutes, the Corrie ship has arrived here at the Israeli port city of Ashdod with 16 people on board. In addition, there are some 20 Israeli soldiers, 4 of whom are female. They were part of this operation to deal with the female protesters that were on board that ship. Now, we do understand that as soon as the ship docks, the passengers will be taken off and arrested on the spot. They will presumably not be deported today simply because it's quite late, but at some time during the course of tomorrow. Now, the Israelis have committed themselves to sorting through the cargo, 1,200 tons of humanitarian aid that is on board this vessel. They say that they will ensure it travels overland to Gaza as soon as possible. Having said that, though, Hamas in Gaza has said they will not accept the cargo. They will only accept it if it comes in through the port. Now, there was no violence during the Israeli takeover of the ship. It happened at around midday today, Israeli time. This is in line with what protesters said earlier in the morning. They said that they would not resist an Israeli presence, but that they insisted on sailing towards Gaza because they wanted to make a stand. They wanted to show the world that they were extremely concerned with the humanitarian situation in Gaza today. So a lot of calm here in Israel because there were a lot of fears throughout the course of the day that we could possibly see a repeat of what happened on Monday morning when 9 activists were killed. The Israelis have maintained from the beginning that they will not allow this ship to land in Gaza in the same way that it didn't allow the flotilla on Monday. The Israelis, for their side, are saying that the difference is that there were no militants on board the ship, that this was very much a ship with peaceful activists. They draw a comparison with the Turkish ship on Monday, in which the commandos boarded the ship, and the Israelis claim that they came under live ammunition. Having said that, though, Israel is extremely wary of growing international criticism. There are calls within Israel and abroad for some kind of international investigation to take place. This is something that Israeli leaders are debating, although at this stage, across the Israeli political spectrum, we're not hearing any kind of support for an international investigation, but there are increasingly more and more calls for some kind of independent Israeli investigation in addition to the one that the army will carry out anyhow. So Israel, concerned about what the international community is saying, but still maintaining that it will not lift this blockade on Gaza. It says it's imperative that this economic blockade that has been in place for the past 3 years continues for safety and security concerns.
Artie's Paula Sleer reporting there for us. We're now joined live by a member of the Free Gaza Movement, Adie Mormech. He was on another flotilla, I gather, almost a year ago, trying to break the blockade at the time. Good evening to you. Thanks for being on the programme. Now, the events, I guess, therefore, after what I've just said of this week, must really have struck a chord with you. I gather that aid boat you were on was also boarded by Israeli military at the time. It didn't manage to get to its destination, the intended destination anyway. Briefly, can you pick the story up from there? Tell us what happened and how you were treated by the Israelis at the time.
Well, at the time, our boat was the first to get attacked. So the first 5 voyages had entered Gaza. Then after the bombing and after Netanyahu took control, there has been no boats to have got in, and ours was the first that was boarded and attacked. We were taken into Ashdod the same way. We were beaten around a bit, but we weren't. It was not the same violence as we saw against the Turkish people, who, quite rightly, in my opinion, said, no, you're not going to attack us with guns. We're sickened by what's going on in Gaza. All of the human rights groups and the United Nations and the European Union have all said the siege must be lifted. But sadly, the Israelis decided that they would still attack anyway. And the Turks, fought against them with whatever they could find on the ship. And frankly, they were treated a hell of a lot worse than I was and the others, and they were killed for that. I mean, this is the blood cost of trying to get aid into Gaza. And frankly, the people that are waiting now in Ashdod from the Corrie, they should be here. They should be here with us. Not only is it a blockade of medical supplies, food, concrete, the International Committee for the Red Cross says that only a fifth of what is needed is getting in. Despite all of the Israeli pleas that they're bringing in stuff, they're not getting in anywhere near as much as all of the different human rights groups like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch and the International Committee for Red Cross are saying is needed. And this is why they must bring the supplies in, but also the people in. We need people here. We need internationals to see what's going on, to report out, to communicate and connect with the Gazan people who are so isolated. They need that contact, and this is why it's a travesty that the Rachel Corrie boat, you remember Rachel Corrie, who was killed by the Israelis, another international in 2003 for protecting a house from demolition.
Okay, Adie, yeah. That's the background. Adie, let's just bring it back to what happened on Monday. I really want to ask you about this. Of course, Israel's got a completely different story about what happened to that one particular boat. 5 of the others got through. Well, they didn't get through, but there was no trouble. They're saying, Israel is saying that it was provoked. Is there any credence, do you think, to their story?
No, they've got absolutely no case whatsoever. How on earth can we say that someone, how can they accuse someone of provoking anything when perhaps a humanitarian aid boat going into a place in international waters, a civilian vessel, is attacked by helicopters, by people with guns, by the special forces, by the military speedboats, and coming on and shooting a load of people up? How on earth is that not the confrontational element of this? These people were going peacefully to deliver aid to a place that the whole world has said, both on a higher official level at the United Nations and all of the human rights groups, and also many governments around the world, they were going to Gaza for that purpose, humanitarian aid to break the siege. And as it is, there was a major provocation, and it was the fact that Israel sent its navy out to violently take on this boat. Now, this is a crime, and it will be exposed as such. The fact that Israel is not having an independent investigation does not surprise me one bit. They just like for when they arrested us, we were a 21 crew vote. It was a Nobel Peace Prize winner, ex-US Congresswoman. They arrested us all. It didn't matter. They took our phones, they took our cameras. They're going to keep all the evidence anyway. They won't release it for an independent investigation because they know it will look so damning against them.
Adie,
this is horrific, and the whole world knows it.
I want to bring another point in, Adie. You're in Gaza tonight. Gaza under siege. Gaza in need, a great humanitarian need. How is the news that Hamas is saying they won't accept this latest aid that's being offloaded now because it's going via Israel? They're standing by their ground and saying, nah, we don't want it. But shouldn't the practicality of the humanitarian issue right now, where you are, be put before the politics of it?
The fact is, Israel does not allow so much aid to come in. We've said that already. It only allows, as the International Committee for the Red Cross have said, operating here, it only allows 1/5 of the required aid that was coming in before the siege. Secondly, they don't allow concrete to come in. There has been no reconstruction, or hardly any reconstruction, since the bombing a year and a half ago that killed 400 children and 1,400 people. The 17,000 houses that were nearly demolished, and the schools and all the hospitals, they have not been rebuilt. So this is why Israel should not be given this equipment to give in, the supplies, because they don't allow it. They've got a list of things they don't allow, including some medical supplies, toys, workbooks, chocolate, pasta. They don't allow this in. It's on their list, like concrete. So how on earth can they be trusted with giving them all this stuff that they've not been allowing for the past 3 years against the Geneva Convention's Article 33, because it's about collective punishment, which is completely illegal.
OK, Adie Mormech from the Free Gaza Movement on the line from Gaza tonight. Thanks for being on the RT News channel. It's appreciated.